What would you think if the President of the United States, the most powerful person on the planet, posted on social media at 12:33 in the morning, bragging about killing people, calling foreign leaders deranged scumbags, and warning the world to watch what happens today? Surprised, what would you think if that same president, just hours earlier, had encouraged civilian cargo ship crews to sail directly into an active war zone, a war zone that his own military has refused to enter, telling them to show some guts? Shouting, what would you think if, while all of this was happening, that president was simultaneously sending out fundraising emails asking American citizens for $1,000 in exchange for private national security briefings about a war that is costing taxpayers over $11 billion and counting? Because that is exactly what happened last night on March 13th, 2026. I'm going to give you everything, every fact, every source, every consequence, because this is not a political opinion piece. This is a documented, sourced breakdown of the most chaotic, dangerous, and frankly alarming 24 hours in modern American foreign policy. Stay with me. To understand why Donald Trump was posting unhinged messages at 12:30 in the morning, we need to go back to February 28, 2026, the day the United States, alongside Israel, launched a massive joint military offensive against Iran. The White House named it Operation Epic Fury. The stated objective, according to official White House communications, was to destroy Iran's nuclear program, degrade its military capabilities, and eliminate what the administration called imminent threats to the United States and its allies. Trump announced the operation in a video posted to his Truth Social account. He told the American people, quote, "Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime." What followed, however, has been anything but clean, controlled, or victorious, no matter what the administration says. Within the first 6 days alone, the Pentagon told Congress that Operation Epic Fury had already cost American taxpayers over $11.3 billion. That's according to Reuters, the New York Times, and NBC News, all citing sources familiar with briefings on Capitol Hill. Lawmakers on the Senate Appropriations Subcommittee on Defense were briefed on those costs, and the Hill is reporting that administration officials are already projecting that an additional $50 billion may be needed to continue the campaign. $50 billion for a war that Donald Trump said would end very soon. For a war the Pentagon admits it did not fully plan for. Let that sink in. Let's talk about the players. Donald Trump, the 47th President of the United States, the man who launched this war, the man who, as we will detail extensively, has been posting erratic, inflammatory, and at times deeply troubling social media content throughout the conflict. Pete Hegseth, Trump's Secretary of Defense, a man with no executive government experience prior to this role. He has repeatedly downplayed American military losses, dismissed legitimate press questions, and according to CNN, has even banned photography at certain military briefings. Scott Bessent, Trump's Treasury Secretary, the man who, on March 12th, announced that the United States was temporarily lifting sanctions on Russian oil to try to offset soaring energy prices caused by the war his boss started. We'll come back to that because it is jaw-dropping. Mojtaba Khamenei, Iran's new supreme leader, the son of former supreme leader Ali Khamenei, who was killed by joint U.S.-Israeli missile strikes on Tehran. Mojtaba Khamenei, elevated by the Revolutionary Guards, has now issued his first public statement, and it is a declaration of war-level defiance. We'll get to that too. Let's walk through the timeline. February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launch Operation Epic Fury. hundreds of strikes hit Iran in the opening hours. Trump confirms the operation in a Truth Social video, calling the strikes necessary to defend America from imminent threats. March 1st, 2026. At least 3 oil tankers are damaged in the Gulf. 1 seafarer is killed. Iran's Revolutionary Guards begin targeting shipping linked to the US and Europe. The Strait of Hormuz, through which approximately 20% of the world's oil passes, begins to shut down. March 2nd, 2026. Trump tells the press the war will likely last 4 to 5 weeks. The White House announces the official name of the operation, Epic Fury. NPR, CBS News, and multiple outlets begin reporting on the unprecedented scale of the strikes and the equally unprecedented unanswered questions about legal authority and congressional authorization. March 4th, March 9th, 2026. Intelligence assessments emerge that Iran is laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz. Defense officials warn Congress the military is expending munitions at a rate that raises serious sustainability concerns. Trump claims the U.S. has virtually unlimited ammunition. PolitiFact rates this claim as highly misleading, noting the U.S. was already working to replenish stockpiles before the war began. March 9th, 2026. Iran's Assembly of Experts appoints Mojtaba Khamenei as the new supreme leader following his father's death in U.S.-Israeli strikes. Experts describe him as, quote, his father on steroids. 3 U.S. F-15E fighter jets are shot down by friendly Kuwaiti fire, a catastrophic friendly fire incident that the Trump administration initially struggled to explain. March 11th, 2026. A catastrophic day for merchant shipping. 6 vessels are attacked in the Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz in a single 24-hour period. These include the Marshall Islands-flagged Safe Sea Vishnu and the Malta-flagged Zephyros, both loaded with fuel, attacked by explosive-laden Iranian boats in Iraqi territorial waters. 1 crew member is killed. Iraq's oil ports completely shut down operations. The Thailand-flagged Mayuri Nari is struck, with 3 crew members initially missing. The Japan-flagged container ship One Majesty sustains damage north of Ras Al Khaimah. The Greek-owned Star Gwyneth is struck near Dubai. The total number of ships hit in the region since the war began now stands at least 16. March 12, 2026. A U.S. Air Force KC-135 Stratotanker refueling aircraft crashes in western Iraq. The military initially says only that an incident involving 2 aircraft occurred and that 1 plane landed safely in Israel. By the following morning, U.S. Central Command confirms all 6 crew members aboard the KC-135 are dead. Central Command says the crash was not due to hostile or friendly fire, but an investigation is ongoing. This is the 4th publicly acknowledged U.S. aircraft to crash or be lost during Operation Epic Fury. Also, on March 12th, CNN publishes a bombshell investigation revealing that the Pentagon and National Security Council significantly underestimated Iran's willingness to close the Strait of Hormuz. Multiple sources tell CNN that top officials admitted in classified congressional briefings that they had not planned for this worst-case scenario. Former officials across Republican and Democratic administrations expressed disbelief. One former official, quoted by CNN, says, and I quote, "Planning around preventing this exact scenario has been a bedrock principle of U.S. national security policy for decades. I'm dumbfounded." Also on March 12th, a French soldier is killed and 6 others are wounded in an Iranian drone attack on a joint French-Kurdish base near Erbil in northern Iraq's Kurdistan region. French President Macron confirms the death. This marks France's first military casualty in the ongoing regional conflict. March 13, 2026, 12:33 a.m., Donald Trump posts on Truth Social. Here is the post verbatim, as reported by The Hill and the Houston Chronicle. "We are totally destroying the terrorist regime of Iran militarily, economically, and otherwise. Yet, if you read the failing New York Times, you would incorrectly think that we are not winning. Iran's navy is gone. Their air force is no longer. Missiles, drones, and everything else are being decimated, and their leaders have been wiped from the face of the earth. We have unparalleled firepower, unlimited ammunition, and plenty of time. Watch what happens to these deranged scumbags today. They've been killing innocent people all over the world for 47 years, and now I, as the 47th President of the United States of America, am killing them. What a great honor it is to do so. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President Donald J. Trump." Let's be clear about what is actually happening right now in the Strait of Hormuz, because Donald Trump at 12:33 in the morning was telling the world we are totally winning, and the facts on the ground tell a very different story. Iran's Revolutionary Guards have repeatedly stated that if attacks on Iran continue, they will not allow 1 liter of oil to be shipped from the Middle East to the US, Israel, or their partners, and they are following through. According to CNN, Energy Secretary Chris Wright admitted on television this week that the U.S. Navy is currently unable to escort commercial tankers through the strait. Quote, "We're simply not ready. All of our military assets right now are focused on destroying Iran's offensive capabilities." He suggested escort capability might be in place by the end of the month, which is cold comfort to the shipping companies watching their vessels burn. And despite Trump going on Fox News to encourage tanker crews to show some guts and sail right through the strait, the U.S. Navy, according to Reuters, has refused near-daily requests from the shipping industry for military escorts since the war began. The reason? The risk of attack is too high. Bloomberg is reporting that Iran has struck at least 16 vessels in the region since hostilities began, and Iranian mines are now being laid in the waterway. The strait carries approximately 20% of the world's oil, and shipping through it has come to a near standstill. Global oil prices have surged to levels not seen since 2022. Meanwhile, Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, issued his first public statement on March 12th via Iranian state media. He said, and I quote, "The Strait of Hormuz must remain closed. American bases in the Middle East must be closed. Iran's other military and regional capabilities will be activated if necessary." That is not the statement of a regime being totally destroyed. That is the statement of a regime that believes it is winning the strategic game, even while absorbing serious military blows. And that asymmetry is something military analysts have been warning about for years. Iran's Shahed 136 drones cost approximately $20,000 each. The U.S. interceptors being used to shoot them down can cost $12 million per missile. According to Bloomberg, while U.S. and Israeli strikes have slowed Iran's drone production, their stockpile remains largely intact, with some estimates suggesting Iran holds up to 80,000 Shahed drones. Forbes analysts warn the U.S. may not be able to stop Iran's drone attacks indefinitely. In Washington, Senate Democrats are ramping up pressure, demanding public hearings on the war. NPR is reporting that Democratic members of the Senate Armed Services Committee are raising serious constitutional concerns about the legal authorization for military force against Iran, a country that, it should be noted, had not attacked the United States prior to the launch of Operation Epic Fury. Among America's allies, the reaction has ranged from confusion to alarm. Reuters is reporting that Gulf Arab states, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, are paying the price for a war they were not consulted on and did not want. Gulf sources tell Reuters that these nations are furious, with their economies being battered by the conflict they were told would be quick and decisive. The Guardian reports that the carefully built image of Gulf stability, the gleaming towers of Dubai and Abu Dhabi, the financial centers that had attracted trillions in foreign investment, is being shattered in real time. Iranian attacks have struck near Dubai. Container ships are burning in the waters that connect these economies to the world. Tourists are staying away. Investors are pulling out. Germany's Chancellor Merz publicly rebuked the Trump administration for temporarily lifting sanctions on Russian oil as an emergency measure to try to cool soaring energy prices. Let's just pause on that for a moment. The Trump administration is at war, ostensibly fighting an evil empire, while simultaneously lifting economic pressure on Russia, a country that is, according to the Critical Threats Project, actively sharing advanced drone tactics with Iran to help Iranian forces attack American troops. Let that sink in. Russia is helping Iran, and Trump is lifting sanctions on Russia. At the United Nations, the Security Council adopted a Bahrain-led resolution condemning Iran's attacks on Gulf nations. 135 countries co-sponsored the resolution. Russia's competing draft resolution failed. The Council on Foreign Relations, Foreign Affairs, and multiple national security think tanks have now published detailed analyses of what went wrong with the administration's pre-war planning. The picture that emerges is damning. The core mistake, according to CNN's reporting and confirmed by multiple independent experts, was the assumption that Iran would not close the Strait of Hormuz because doing so would hurt Iran's own oil exports. This assumption, it turns out, was wrong. Under wartime conditions, with Iran's oil already under sanctions and the country in an existential fight, closing the strait actually serves Iran's strategic interest by inflicting maximum economic pain on the United States and its allies. Planning around preventing this exact scenario, impossible as it has long seemed, has been a bedrock principle of U.S. national security policy for decades. A former official who served in both Republican and Democratic administrations told CNN, "I'm dumbfounded. Foreign Affairs magazine called the Strait situation the Hormuz minefield, a trap that the administration walked directly into. The financial consequences are already cascading. Oil prices have surged toward $100 a barrel. Global LNG shipping has been disrupted. And the American Prospect is reporting that the Iran war has exposed critical weaknesses in U.S. defense supply chains that were never fixed after years of warnings from military planners. Now let's talk about something that legal scholars are calling potentially criminal. While American service members are dying, 6 on a KC-135 in Iraq, 7 others in Iranian retaliatory strikes on U.S. bases in the region, Donald Trump's campaign apparatus sent out a fundraising email. The email, reported by Maidus News and confirmed by multiple outlets, promotes a national security briefing membership. In the email, Trump tells supporters, "As a national security briefing member, you'll receive my private national security briefings, unfiltered updates on the threats facing America, the straight truth on border invasion and foreign adversaries, deep state sabotage, and every danger fake news hides. You'll get the inside scoop direct from me, the leader who's rebuilt the greatest military in history. Join now." The email used photos of Trump at a dignified transfer ceremony at Dover Air Force Base, the solemn return of fallen service members, where he was wearing a campaign hat. Legal experts and government ethics watchdogs are already raising serious questions. If a sitting president is offering private war briefings to donors that aren't available to the general public, what does that say about his obligations to the American people? About classification laws? About the fundamental integrity of the office? And if all of that weren't enough, Donald Trump also decided, in the middle of an active war, to insert himself into the FIFA World Cup in the most inflammatory way possible. In a Truth Social post, Trump wrote that he didn't think it was appropriate for Iran's national soccer team to attend the World Cup for their own life and safety, a statement that was widely interpreted as a veiled threat against Iranian athletes. Iran's national team hit back immediately. Al Jazeera is reporting that Iran responded by calling Trump's statement a disgrace, noting that the World Cup is supposed to be a symbol of global unity. Reuters reported that FIFA is now left pondering its options, with Iran threatening to withdraw from the tournament entirely. The New York Times' The Athletic notes the profound irony. Trump gave himself a FIFA Peace Prize before this war began, and now he is threatening the safety of a country's athletes on American soil. Here is perhaps the most haunting element of this entire story. On February 28, 2025, exactly 1 year before Operation Epic Fury began, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky sat in the Oval Office with Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance. The meeting descended into a public confrontation. Zelensky, in the middle of being berated by Trump, said something that now reads like a prophecy. He said, and I quote, "During the war, everybody has problems, even you. But you have a nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future." Trump shot back, "Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good and very strong." Zelensky replied, "You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now." 1 year later, American oil prices are surging. American ships can't sail through the Strait of Hormuz. American service members are dying. American allies are furious, and the American president is posting at 12:33 in the morning. The political fallout is already beginning to register in a serious way. Bloomberg is reporting that the Iran war is a direct political liability for Trump as the country moves toward the 2026 midterm elections. Republicans privately tell reporters they are concerned about rising gas prices, mounting casualties, and the lack of any coherent endgame strategy. CBS News is reporting that rising gas prices and the war in Iran are directly complicating Trump's economic message, the same economic message that was central to his political identity. Congressional Democrats are not just criticizing the war, they are now formally demanding public hearings on how it started, how it is being conducted, and whether it has any legal basis in U.S. or international law. The Just Security Project argues in a detailed legal analysis that Operation Epic Fury raises profound questions about the law of armed conflict and international legal obligations. The scenarios ahead range from bad to catastrophic. Scenario 1. Quick resolution. Trump said this week the war would end very soon. If Iran and the U.S. reach some form of informal ceasefire or de-escalation and the strait reopens, global oil prices could stabilize. But Iran's new supreme leader has just publicly vowed to keep the strait closed, making a rapid resolution unlikely. Scenario 2. Prolonged attrition. Iran continues its asymmetric strategy: cheap drones, mines, ship attacks, and proxy strikes, bleeding the U.S. economically and militarily over months. The Washington Post and DW both note that analysts agree the U.S. is unlikely to literally run out of weapons, but the high-end precision munitions and interceptors are a genuine concern for a prolonged conflict. Scenario 3. Regional escalation. Iran's new supreme leader has warned of opening new fronts where the enemy has little experience. Cyber attacks have intensified. The Red Sea remains a flashpoint, with Houthi forces in Yemen potentially coordinating with Iran. Russia is actively assisting Iran's drone operations, adding a deeply troubling superpower dimension to what began as a bilateral military campaign. Here is what we know, confirmed, sourced, and documented as of March 13, 2026. Donald Trump launched a war against Iran on February 28th. That war has now lasted 2 weeks. 6 American service members are dead from a single KC-135 crash. 7 others have been killed in Iranian retaliatory strikes. A French soldier is dead in Erbil. 3 American F-15s were shot down by friendly fire from Kuwait. At least 16 commercial ships have been attacked in the Gulf and Strait of Hormuz. The strait, carrying 20% of the world's oil, is effectively closed. The first 6 days of the war cost $11.3 billion. The Pentagon and NSC admit they did not plan for Iran to close the strait. Trump is lifting sanctions on Russia while Russia helps Iran. And at 12:33 in the morning on March 13th, while all of this was unfolding, the 47th President of the United States posted on social media that it is his great honor to be killing his enemies. Zelensky told him a year ago, "You will feel it in the future." America is feeling it right now. If this video gave you real, sourced, credible information that you couldn't find anywhere else, subscribe, hit that bell, share this with someone who needs to see it. We are committed to bringing you factual, documented political journalism. No speculation, no misinformation, just the truth, backed by sources you can verify yourself. Every source in this video is linked in the description. Read them, judge for yourself. And if you want to support independent journalism that holds power accountable, become a channel member today. Let's keep growing together. Thank you for watching.